Like many of you, I dreamed of taking trips in a van. And then once getting one, realized there were all these unforeseen things that I hadn't counted on. I was going to have to face my fears and see how I did in a van. And the best way of doing that was a road trip. But where to go? Maybe a state park. Sounds simple enough. And then you realize the amount of competition there is to get into a state park. I'll give you an example. This is an online screenshot of a popular park near Orlando and the schedule for several days. Notice anything funny? There is only 1 or 2 green slots with lots of X's, meaning that slot has been taken. A neighbor even told me she and her husband had made their reservations a year ago. But this was my trial by fire vision quest, and I would not be denied. So, if not a popular park, then a park. And I found one, not far from my house, that would allow me my long sought after overnight stay. But before riding off into the sunset, a little housekeeping was in order, meaning this was also a chance for me to test out some of the other things that I'd already put into place, like a solar-powered generator for electricity and a griddle for cooking. And during a quick trip to Goodwill for a lamp, I even ran into a box set DVD of the entire first season of Boston Legal. Entertainment was now provided. Oh, and one more thing. Before I set off, I removed those little TVs off the back of the captain's chairs. The first thing that surprised me was that driving was not as difficult as I imagined it. With such a big old van, you're not burning rubber, and people tend to get out of your way. Add to that the fact that I had big mirrors and a backup camera, and I did pretty well navigating through traffic. And once on the highway, the old girl seemed to hit her stride, and we floated along with no trouble at all. Me and Sunny Girl arrived at the little state park in a little over an hour and found our camping spot with next to no trouble. Before setting up, I decided to take a tour of the park. Yes, it was small, but scenic in its own way, with river views and quiet trails. And then came the actual setup. And watching all those survival shows paid off, because I figured out which direction the sun was moving in order to get the most shade for the van. After some late afternoon lunch, we were now ready for some serious binge watching that went on well into the night. But there were more surprises in store, because around 1 a.m., as me and Sunny Girl were finishing up the last few episodes of Boston Legal inside the van, a few raccoons decided to raid our camp. They didn't get anything, but they made a lot of noise. The next day, all that remained was our morning coffee and heading back home, but also having learned a good deal about how a lot of my fears were unfounded. And I also learned that life on the road means a lot of problem solving and being willing to accept the zen of sometimes not having all the answers. I was now ready to tackle my build out.